Okay, welcome to HUD News. It is January 19th, 2021. We've got a lot to talk about, including the eviction memorandum for 2020 and 2021, and this may affect both the federal level, the state level, and at the city or county level, okay? The other thing we'll be talking about is the housing crisis that is going on. This is specifically for low-income people that are dealing with HUD and other housing choice vouchers, the lack thereof. And I'm going to be giving some professional advice for some of you out there. Now, before I get started, I want to tell you that, we have to come to reality. Everybody here is grown that is watching these videos, okay? I've had a huge amount of traffic recently. What this tells me is, the federal eviction memorandum did expire the day after Christmas. People sat around. They didn't, I guess they're in disbelief that they're going to be put out of their home. Here's the reality. It doesn't matter if the new president puts up a new eviction memorandum. It's not retroactive, which means if that landlord, the day after Christmas went and filed for an eviction, it is a done deal. There's nothing that's going to stop that. And a lot of you guys are waiting until you have your day in court. And let me tell you, you got days to vacate after that. If you guys don't start preparing to apply for housing or COC housing or some other type of private voucher, you're going to find all your property in the front lawn and you're going to find yourself on the street. These are perilous times, okay? Shelters are not accepting anybody new, okay? And the ones that do are can only accept half of capacity, and others are just flat out closed because the COVID-19 requires spacing. So, in the past lifetime of shelters offering a place to people as an emergency, because of the unusual situation of COVID, there is not even almost a homeless shelter to go to anymore, okay? So all of you guys are putting yourself in real jeopardy by not getting housing. The other thing I want to say is, most of you that are regular members of my site that come here to get advice, seek advice, or even if you're a landlord, you know that I consult. I charge $40 for 30 minutes of advice, and my track record speaks for itself largely in the fact that, over 97% of the people that I consult with get housing and they get it quickly, okay? There's only a small ratio of people that don't get it. But here's the problem that I see that's really been a problem lately. We have a lot of tire kickers. You want to go back and forth by email as if I need to prove anything. Let me tell you something. In the country, there are less than a handful of people that do what I do, okay? There's only one of them that will actually even speak to individuals or private tenants. The rest of these guys sit on TV, Fox News, ABC News, and just give consulting advice that way, okay? There's nobody else that you're going to find on Google and YouTube that are going to give you anything meaningful, okay? Even when you sit on Google and you do all these searches and you watch all these videos of tips and advice, let me tell you something about a lot of these YouTube artists. They're giving tips and advice for their own city. So they don't have the experience of dealing with almost every city like I do. So the advice that you think that you're getting is going to be effective for where you live, from a person that lives in another state and city, every housing authority in the country works differently. If you don't get somebody like myself that has the operations manual for nearly every HUD and COC in the country, you're in trouble, okay? So, that's the thing. You've got to come back to reality. And let me tell you something. If you're going to go out here and receive $15,000, $20,000 discount against your rent because you have a housing voucher, then what would be the offense and then paying somebody $40 to lead you into getting that housing? Because most of you, like I said, you spend more money for beer and cigarettes than you're willing to pay a consultant that can get you in housing. And then, when you guys end up on the street with all your property out there, nowhere to go, and then call, it makes it hard. And the other thing I want to tell you is, right now, Florida is an exceptionally tough state to even get housing. It's almost non-existent. Another place that's extremely difficult to deal with is LA. I have gone back and forth with people in both Florida, the state of Florida, and also Los Angeles. And I've got to tell you, if you live in those two places, it's extraordinarily difficult, even with my abilities, okay? Now, with all that being said, let me just reiterate one other thing. The new president will take office and he will put up a new eviction memorandum. But the thing about it is, if you've already been served, you're already in the court system, that memorandum is not going to do anything for you. The judge is going to want you to produce every nickel you owed in 2020. If you can't produce that, then you probably have days in which to get you, your entire family, and your property out of that apartment before the sheriff's show up, and then they only give you about maybe 15 minutes or an hour to get whatever you can out of there. So you guys have got to take this stuff more seriously, okay? I've warned most of you since last year. If you didn't start applying for housing then, you're not the only one at this point. In fact, there are 11 million people facing eviction or in the midst of eviction in every city or state across the country. There's not a lot of housing left, and you have to have a pretty compelling story. Even if they were to accept you, a lot of housing authorities are not open or their waiting lists are closed. So it's a complex situation around the country with a tidal wave of more people seeking housing than ever before through HUD and other programs. So if you don't get in line early and you're the last person to show up because you decided that $40 was just a little too pricey for you, let me tell you something. It's nothing compared to a night under a bridge, okay? Because that's where you're going to be living. So that is the cold, hard reality. Another thing is, I have a lot of DIY people that want to do it yourself. Let me give you some critical advice there. Unless you've ever read, hundreds, if not thousands of pages of operations manual, you don't know the exact questions they're going to ask and the exact answers they're looking for in order to get you housing. The odds are you're going to go down there and give some wild story, hoping to gain some empathy, and then in return they give you keys to a house. You need to put that. You need to get back to reality. Put reality in check for yourself. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay, it doesn't matter how compelling, how disabled you are. If you don't answer the questions in a specific way to earn enough points, then you will not get housing, no matter how terrifying or unfriendly your story might be. Okay, so that's why you need a consultant that actually knows what the hell these people are going to ask you, what the answers are looking for, and how you should be prepared. Because if you're not, you're going to be one of those people. So out of 100 people showing up, 5 people get housing. You're going to be one of the 95% that don't get anything but a flyer with phone numbers you can call to charities and the food bank that isn't going to do a damn thing to get you housed, okay? So, all you need to start taking the stuff seriously, and you need to start reacting now, okay? Because it's this situation is only going to perpetuate itself as time goes on. So the housing crisis is real, okay? So now that everybody's flooding into the system, it's getting harder and harder to get housing, which means you have to have you've got to test higher and higher and be more, and your story has to be more and more compelling in order to convince these people to even give you a voucher or a hotel room, okay? So if you're not represented by somebody that understands the system the way that I do and have for 15 years, then you're in trouble. You honestly are. You're living in a delusion and you're avoiding reality, and you're going to have to come back to that, and you're going to have to react quickly. You're going to have to match the plot and the course of everything that's going on with these people. Now, as far as the eviction memorandum also goes, a new one will be in place, and for those of you that have managed to pay your rent in its entirety through 2020, then you'll be protected a little longer, okay? But this is not an extension of old business. Now, as far as the professional advice, some of you will be able to get rapid rehousing within 30 days or permanent supportive housing within 30 days. Some of you will be lucky enough to be in a mid-city or small city where it's still possible to get a housing choice voucher. And if you live in big cities like LA and New York and Chicago, there are private organizations, including Catholic charities, that give a different version of voucher that can get you into, a private housing situation, okay? But if you're not gonna react quickly enough to do these things, then waiting till the end of January or February is almost going to be too late, okay? It's really been too late for a long time. And so I cannot impress upon you folks, you've got to stop wasting your time doing Google searches about how to avoid eviction and all that. You have to just face the reality that if you don't start setting up a backup to get the housing, then you're going to be in serious trouble. So with all that being said, if you need a consultant, I am here to help. That's an absolute, okay? It doesn't matter if you're facing it. You need advice on your eviction, if you need advice on what to do next, where to go, who to call, how to answer those questions, how to pass an assessment to a good enough point to where you would be able to qualify, then I'm absolutely the person you want to speak to. If you're going to spend your days roaming around YouTube and on Google, I wish you the best of luck with that, because a lot of people just copy other people's bad advice, and most of it's just a joke, okay? So with that being said, If you need me, you can find my information in the comment section below, and I'll be looking forward to speaking to you. Thank you. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.